Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, Executive Producer of the Female Solution Radio Show. We invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and participate in this daily think tank as we examine the challenges we face and develop solutions that restore peace and harmony. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network called 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money. Grand Rising, and thank you all for joining us on this Wednesday edition of the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, and today we're going to be talking about a topic that is one of my favorites, even though it might sound a little bit ghoulish, me saying so. But we're talking about preparing for your transition and what you need to do with your loved ones so that it's an easy process. It's something that we tend not to want to talk about because of our cultural fears around what we perceive as death. But not handling it causes more problems simply because if we don't prepare, we leave our loved ones in a mess. And this isn't what we want to do.
So we've got a special guest today who is a certified senior advisor, Brenda Sharif, who is prepared to help us through the process so that we may, in fact, prepare our loved ones in a way that's helpful. We're going to take a quick break and come back, and we'll be joined with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family, and we want to hear from you. Give us a call. And as always, we want you to participate in this discussion because it's all about you. It's the process of preparing for that which is inevitable, our return from whence we came. And regardless of what you may believe, the fact is no one gets out of this physical life alive, as they say. Or maybe we do, but just in another form. So whatever it is, we need to prepare our loved ones for that process so that they are not steeped in chaos. So we'll be right back after this quick break. So we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back with our guest, Brenda Sharif, and our co-host, Kareem Hamid. So stay with us.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms.
And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, and we're so excited because we get a chance to educate today. And this is what we do to let people know what it is that can make their life easier. So before we bring on our guest, we want to just take a look at a few things that may, in fact, affect our choices when it comes to the end of life. There's often the assumption, of course, that if we are old, then we need to prepare. But we know that the end can come at any time. And so we can't just assume that it only happens after we become seniors. But our guest today, a certified senior advisor, lets us know that the preparation process needs to happen right now because your transition could happen right now from any unexpected means. We see today so many people getting on the internet with GoFundMe pages because they didn't have an insurance policy. And we see families fighting over assets because it was not discussed who would get what and who's responsible for what. We see property lost because people aren't preparing their children for how to handle the management of the homes they worked so hard to finally pay for. All of these things can make life a hell if we don't prepare for our transition. So I'm going to bring on our guest to give you a little bit of an insight, first of all, about her qualifications as a certified senior advisor, and some of the things you need to think about, even if you're not yet what's considered senior. So, welcome, Miss Brenda Sharif. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Female Solution Global Radio TV show.
And good morning to all of my friends on Female Solution. Thank you so very much, Naima and Tareen, for allowing me to be with you this morning. And all of the people that are looking at us this morning and listening to us this morning. The topic that we're going to discuss today is something culturally we have a difficult time in addressing. But as you just said, no one gets out of life alive, and it is inevitable. And there's a old saying, you must plan. As they say, when you have failures, it's not because it's just a failure, but you failed to plan. And so we spend more time planning for vacations and for weddings and other life events, but we don't plan for that end of life. And it's not just if we look at it globally, we lose more money as a result of not planning in our community than anyone other than Black folks could ever take from us. We lose tens of millions of dollars every year to our community because of lack of planning. And so I am here to share with you those things that you may want to do, you may want to consider. And I have uh, for those of you that want to call in, I'm going to send you something to help you in that process. It's not fair to ask for, it's not fair to tell you something you need to do without helping you along. So that's what I plan to do. A little bit about my qualifications. I was widowed very young. My husband died when he was 44, and that's been 40 years ago. In fact, 44 years ago, to be exact. He died in 1980. And at that time, I was a young woman. Now I'm an old woman, but I was a young woman at that time. And we were ill prepared for him leaving. 44 is a very young age. And so that is what got me into the industry of helping prepare people. And as they say, once burned, twice shy. I would not want any other person to have to go through what I went through of what you don't know. In our community, there's an adage that says, what you don't know can't hurt you. A la contraire. Everything that has ever hurt me in life has been because I didn't know. And scripture reminds us, for lack of knowledge, my people perish. Now that is a truth. So, in preparing, it is how do you protect your assets? How do you assure income is protected? And guess what? There's a tool. At one time, I was a certified financial planner. And as a certified financial planner, I help families to understand how to obtain, maintain, and sustain their wealth. And this is something that insurance does. Insurance is the Swiss Army knife of any family's financial planning. And that is what we're going to talk about today. Many of us have life insurance. That's good. And the life insurance generally prepares us if, in fact, there's a loss of income. Life insurance is also for the living. And why do I say life insurance is for the living? Life insurance is for the living because it benefits those that are living. It is provided by those that see the need for some financial uh, assistance in the future if they're not there, but they too, if they outlive that reason, and many people have set insurance policies up specifically for education for their children, and when their children have reached their age of maturity, or they're already out of college, no need to have that college fund anymore. That's when it becomes a part of your retirement, where you can then draw from that. In critical situations where people have received diagnosis that indicate that their lives are impacted by adversely by disease or some life-threatening condition, that insurance policy can actually be sold in the market as a viatical. And that means that whatever the value of that insurance policy that you have, you can sell that on the open market, and part of those funds of the face value you can use like right now. What we don't know, it's a whole new world with an upstairs to it. So if any of you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. Um, and Naima, do you have any questions, or how can people call in? Is there a phone number that they can use to
Well, of
call
course,
in?
they can call in. We're on 3 different radio networks, so they can call in 727-731-5192, and they can call in 515-605-9325. And we also are connected to the American Muslim 360 channel, and our co-host will be joining us in a moment. And that number is 515-605-9891. Of course, all of those are on your screen, but we're going to make sure that we repeat them for those who are listening. And we do have some callers on the switchboard now that have some questions. So we're going to give them an opportunity to ask a question, and then we'll take a break and bring in our co-host. One question I have before we get to our callers on the line: there are a lot of families who put off things like wills and so forth. They're afraid they can't afford a lawyer and all of that. There are a lot of families that get their property tied up in probate because they don't have any paperwork to designate who is going to be responsible for the house. And if they haven't, if you've got a family with a number of siblings, this is where you end up with conflict, because people are fighting over who is going to inherit the property. So when would you say people should have that discussion with their family? I know sometimes when you've got a senior that is going through Alzheimer's or some other mentally debilitating illness, they're not in a position to make decisions. I know wills often start out with, I being of sound mind and body do bequeath, blah, 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 whatever. But, they state that they're of sound mind. But when should we start having that conversation? Do we wait until our senior person is no longer of sound mind? Do we have that conversation as soon as we marry, as soon as we have a child, as soon as we have assets? When do we have that conversation with our family about what should happen after our transition?
As soon as a person is legally responsible, and in the state of Illinois, that would be at 18. I have a goddaughter that just experienced the tragic death of her son. And we don't think of our children leaving before we do. However, it does happen. Accidents happen, illnesses happen. And so it's not just old age. That is not the reality. So soon as anyone has reached a age of maturity where the parents are no longer responsible for them, that is the appropriate time. There's a saying that says, now is the appropriate time. So whatever the now is, from 26 to 126 is now the appropriate time. And you mentioned something that is very, very important, Naima, and that is what happens when seniors get older and there is dementia that will set in, that they're no longer of sound mind. That is problematic. So the sooner, the better. And in our communities, we are disproportionately affected by everything. And dementia is one of those things that that disproportionately affects our community. And so we want to get uh, uh, POAs, um, which will allow both for medical as well as for the fiscal. So it's a physical, which would be the medical, which is, and POA, excuse me, I don't like people to use initials and you don't know what it is. POA is a power of attorney. And there are several types, but basically we're talking about a medical power of attorney, which means someone has responsibility. If you're not able to speak for yourself, you are empowering them to make decisions on your behalf. The other is a power of attorney that is for your physical, your excuse me, your fiscal uh, uh, information. That's your bank accounts, what to do with your property, cars, boats, whatever. That is a uh, power of attorney where you are in charge of that person's finances. These are very to work with several lawyers, one lawyer specific that we can help you draw up these documents and make it a lot easier should an episode occur.
That makes sense. Well, let me take a caller before we take a break, and we're going to go to 773-483 and then 312-632. If we don't get to you before the break, we'll take you right after the break. 773-483. Grand Rising, thank you for joining us. Give us your name, where you're calling from, and your question or comment for our guest, Bryn Sharif.
Yes, good morning. This is Kofi James. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for calling, Kofi James. And question for our guest regarding preparing your loved ones for your transition?
Well, I used to work at Money Financial Life Insurance, so I do understand the need for that. I mean, there's a lot of situations where a lot of people don't like to share their financial information with their children because it sets off a different type of different type of relationship where you have children actually murdering their parents for the financial benefit. One of the persons I met one time, he had his finances, he willed it to a charity, and the other half he willed it to his children. And they asked him, why did he do that? He said, because the charity is actually over my will, so my children will intercede and start a different type of relationship with me. So that's very important that you do have someone in position to control the will and not the family or the children, because that's when a lot of hostility happens. And You have to pick and choose. Okay, well, I'll choose my son or I'll choose my daughter. You're going to be the head over this wheel. You know what I mean? And so that's my question is, you mentioned that, but selecting a headship to rake out the wheel, to be in the head, so you won't have those collisions of family.
That's a very good point.
It's very hard. It's very hard in the Black community. The Black community is one of the most secretive, I call it, agencies.
Yes.
Elders, there's so many secrets. When people die, you find out everything about them, and there's just so many secrets that we keep each other. We keep each other down.
Well, Kufi, that the point that you raised, I want to give our guests a chance to address that, because it is an issue of trust and secrecy. And you're right. There are people who you don't find out until they've passed away. They have whole families somewhere. And that creates such a mess. People won't talk about things. They won't tell you even things like what kind of insurance policies they have. Again, like you said, the reality, out of fear and distrust. So, Brand, where does that come from culturally? Why are we, first of all, distrusting of family members, and second of all, what do we do when we've got sibling rivalry that extends into adulthood, where if you put one child as an executor, then that's going to create resentment to the other child, and then you have these lifelong feuds? I've seen it happen in families that I thought never would have fallen apart. How do we address the trust factors?
Well, trust is something that is earned. And in the earning of that trust, I hear what you're saying, and I do know that there are these horror stories that we hear all the time. But trust is something earned. So if you are a mama, a daddy, a sister, or a brother, you need to work on your relationships. And we often have these books on building relationships in the business world. We really need to work on building our relationships among our family, our immediate family, our extended family, our neighborhood family. We need to work on building relationships where trust is there. And how do you do that? There used to be an old adage that said, it takes a friend to have a friend, you've got to be a friend. So you have to begin trusting other people so that they then know that they can trust you. Your children, you have to know that let your children know that you trust them. And that is something that is individual, relationship by relationship. And if we really want to get to a spiritual perspective, in all thy ways you would acknowledge the God in me, salutes and acknowledges the God in you.
Yes, yeah, I agree. And for parents who are
another question I had is, what if you sat down with your children and told them what they were going to get, the stakes that they were going to get, and actually, this is a real good question, I think. Actually, how are you going to remember me if I pass?
That's a good question. And that, I think that's a yes.
When I get to you, that's developing that trust. What would you do to acknowledge me?
We're gonna take a quick break, but when we come back, we're gonna have our guests answer that, because that's something that perhaps families should do. Have that one-on-one discussion with each of their children, so that you can get a gauge of maybe what you've planted in them. We'll be right back. We're gonna take a quick break, and if you're listening online and want to join this conversation, you can give us a call, 515-605 9325 and press 1. And of course, if you join us on our on-air radio network, call in 727-731-5192 because we want to talk to you. And we'll be right back after this quick break. So stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back in just one moment. So stay with us.
Hi, this is John Alexander.
And I'm Naima Latif. Meet people like you who are making a positive difference in the world.
Big difference.
Watch us every day on The Media Connection at www.youtube.com/The Media Connection TV.
YouTube it. We'll see you soon.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif. And if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
Do you want to live in a world without war? Join our global peace movement. Heavenly Culture World Peace Restoration of Life transcends culture, religion, ideology, and other boundaries to achieve peaceful harmony in the global society. HWPL is committed to bringing world peace and cessation of war through peaceful dialogue between religious groups. I am Director Shin-Suk Kim of the HWPL Chicago branch of North America. Join us for our next gathering. Call 773-580-1501 and be a part of the movement for world peace. Email us at chicagohwpl@gmail.com.
Oh man, I sent the monthly sun bill today. This sunlight is really expensive, especially during this season. I'll probably have to work overtime to pay it.
Well, you better pay it on time. We don't want the sun to go out and we're sitting up here all day in the dark.
Wouldn't it be terrible if God charged us for sunlight? Well, thank God, the light and heat from the sun is free. So why are we paying such high bills for the energy we use in our homes? Because we don't know how to use solar energy, the free energy from the sun. You can convert your regular home to a solar energy home and save tremendously on your electric bill. Take a look at your electric bill. Wouldn't you like to reduce or possibly even eliminate that cost altogether? Let one of our solar consultants show you how. Call today, 312-849-3456, and schedule a free consultation. That's 312-849-3456.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're 3 Black Moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, 3 Black Moms.
And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our guest today, Bryn Sharif. And we are so excited because we get a chance to educate. This is a topic that I don't care how long you put it off, you're going to have to address it. And what we realize is that we've been putting it off for too long. And as a result, we end up leaving a mess for our loved ones. So a question was asked before the break. What about if you sit your children down and have that conversation? What do you think could happen if, in fact, you did lay out, this is what you're going to get, and this is who's going to be the executor, or this is going to be the person who manages the affairs? Do you think that would help in the process?
Yes. And for those of us that don't necessarily start how to do it, I have, and I'm offering one that wants this. This is a planner. This is a guide. It will give you some direction. It's like if you're going to take a trip, you'd get a map. This is a planner that will help you have that conversation with your loved ones, your children, your siblings, sometimes extended families. Sometimes families get more than just your nuclear family. It goes beyond. Brothers and sisters think that they have something to say about your family or your spouse, especially in-laws, will come in at that time. And so this planner, it's called My Life, My Wishes. And so it's much better if the person that is the direct rather than indirect. And sometimes that happens, that indirect happens if there is dementia, or there's a sudden death, or there's an illness that impacts someone, that they may not be able to make those decisions for themselves. I think people in using this guide for planning for not only just their funeral, but also planning for the disposition of their assets. Who's going to manage these? And the reason that this is very important, and I want all of my brothers and sisters to hear this, please hear this. We lose tens of millions of dollars every year due to lack of planning. There are people that have worked hard for fiscal assets, their homes, their cars, land, businesses, that do not have a plan, a succession plan in place. Is a travesty. We can stop this right now. On this weekend, bring your family together. Have that talk. It's not necessarily an easy talk. It's not something that we want to do, but it is something that we have to do. It's almost like the cartoon things that they say, you got to eat your spinach. You've got those things that may not be pleasant, but essential. Is Kufi still with us?
Let's see. I believe he is. Let me see.
Okay. And that was because I wanted,
Oh.
he was asking how, when, and that kind of thing. So I'm hoping that that addressed his question. Okay. Anyone desiring to receive this can call me at 773
Yes.
819
And she,
1700.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. He was. Yes. Say that again. He was saying
yeah,
that
my
he's going
daughter,
through this right now.
yeah, I was telling my daughter about the family land that we have. And she's like, I don't care about that. I don't need that. You know? So it lets you know that she's not the one who will executive that. You know, maybe she's a little young now at 18. 18 may not be the age to tell someone about what they're going to inherit. If they're not mature enough, maybe I'll try again in a couple of years. But I think that if you have, I got an inheritance, and my grandfather put somebody else over effective outside the family over his heir, so there would not be infighting. We had to go through one individual, and that's my question to you. Instead of choosing someone in your family, would it be a good idea to go outside and choose a agency, individual, to executive your stuff? Because now your family has to be accountable else, and that's actually protecting yourself. You're protecting yourself from your family, maybe get you, to murder you. You know what I mean? I'm just real talk. We're talking like
Trust is everything,
you
Kufi.
don't want your family. You don't want your family to murder you for your
Well,
religion. So now,
that is really an extreme. I try to work with the 80
Yes.
rule, at
And
least
Kufi,
80-20.
yes, absolutely. Well,
80-20 rule. And so prayerfully you don't fall in that 20%. And I don't even think it's 20%.
yeah,
It's probably a 98 or 99 point something percent.
yeah,
I try to stay as close to what is going to be the experience of the majority of us, the overwhelming majority of us.
yes.
And the
And thank you
overwhelming,
for the question, Kufi, because I
yes,
think there are probably a lot of families that are going through that right now, because you need to have that conversation, especially if you have a senior who is about to transition and they've got property and you have siblings and some that are responsible and some that are not. And sometimes you have to make a decision as to who you think is going to be responsible among your children. The fear of children doing in their parents because they're going to get some assets or some money.
yeah,
If you have that fear, that you have problems that
that
have
are
been
way
going on quite a
beyond this.
while. There's a whole lot
And
deeper than just inheriting a house.
yeah,
So you need to be
trust,
in therapy
tru-
right now.
yeah, trust is everything. And that's what I'd shared. We have to build that trust. And your children trusting you, you trusting your children, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
There are um, extenuating circumstances, I'm sure. And so that is why you would have someone other than the children to become the executives of your estate.
Yeah.
The infighting, many times, and this is my own personal, this is me. I'm not saying this is for everyone, but it has been my experience that wills are not necessarily the best instrument for succession planning. And the reason for that is that wills can be contested and trust cannot. Once you establish the trust, you as the person that has it, you can make changes in it as long as you're living. And once that decision is made, once that has been documented and has been publicly recorded and what they call funded by whatever those assets are that you're passing along, there's no contest. Whereas with wills, where you bequeath something, you can have people that come into court, and then it will be left up to a judge to determine who's right, who's wrong, who gets what. And that outcome can be way off center of what your desires had been. So
Absolutely.
that's, consult your attorney, and wills make money for attorneys. They are going to make
Yes.
because you end up and it makes money for the state because
Yeah.
you've got to go through probate. And
Yes.
so, it's a choice, but get
Yeah.
legal advice on that.
Yeah.
I can just
And
tell
I,
you that those are issues. Oftentimes when we do have that talk, and I want to, and especially for mothers, I don't see this as much for fathers, but especially for mothers. And when she has several children, there's always a child that may not have done as well as their siblings. And so the mother then feels that something that they're leaving behind, they need to leave something behind for Pookie, because
Yeah.
everyone else has homes, everyone else has cars, and Pookie ain't got nothing. In fact, Pookie might be living in the basement on mama's couch still at 45. Don't leave it to Pookie. Don't leave it to Pookie.
Because
Pookie ain't the one.
Pookie has already shown that he is not responsible.
That
So
he
why
is
would
not
you give more
responsible.
to someone who can't manage what they have?
There you go.
Yeah.
Have something set aside for Pookie, but don't leave him your property.
I've seen that
Because
mistake too.
yeah,
Ooh,
because
I've seen that
Pookie doesn't understand, has not governed his life. As they say, that's like casting
swine
pearls
before pearls,
before
as they
swine.
say.
And
pearl
so,
before swine, right?
yes, you don't want to leave it to
Right.
Pookie. Leave something for Pookie, but don't leave him the majority of what you have, thinking that it will help to make him on level with his siblings. Don't do that.
That's a hard choice, because I have seen so many people make that decision. All the other children are successful, but then you've got the one that couldn't quite finish school, couldn't quite keep a job, in debt, living in the basement and can't quite get his life together. And you're thinking, well, okay, if I give this one a leg up, then their life will be better. But you're not realizing everybody's manifesting their level of responsibility already. And if this person has already shown that they cannot manage themselves, why would you give them more? It's like you say, like throwing pearls before swine. Somebody who can't appreciate it, can't manage it, couldn't manage what they did have, and will probably squander it. And you're going to create a lot of resentment among the other children as they watch this happening. And I see so many families go through that. We got another caller here. I'm going to take area code 727 741. Your mic is open. Give us your name, where you're calling from, and your question or comment for our guest, Brent Sharif.
And good morning to you, Naima. Actually, this is Marcia and I calling from St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Florida. And we've been trying to connect our states together. Alhamdulillah. So that's my purpose of calling, because I was going back and forth, so I did not get to appreciate the entire message. But Kareem was wanting your number to call in, so I called into the show, and I'm now connecting. So alhamdulillah, if you can either leave that open or...
Well, that is wonderful.
So you won't have to dial in.
Okay, so now is your phone now connecting us? So are they able to hear us through your line?
Kareem, can you acknowledge?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, we've been, we've been having some audio issues that. Wa alaikum salam. Well, thank you so much, Martha Nyla, always here to save the day. We appreciate you so much. Yes, on Wednesdays, we're connected with American Muslim 360 channel, so we're broadcasting live from both channels. And today we're having some serious audio issues with echoes and everything. So, I'm working feverishly behind the scenes to try to fix it. So thank you so much, because we definitely want to hear the wisdom and get your listeners also up to speed. Our guest today is Certified Senior Advisor Brent Sharif, and we've been talking about one of my favorite topics, preparing for your transition. But of course, there's the business end of it, and there's the practical reality that families have to face. And we've been talking about the process of making sure your paperwork is in order. And often it's a thing that families will hesitate to address because culturally our fears about death and our misunderstandings about what it means to transition out of this body, and then our distrust of each other, and not understanding that it's best to know things, so it's not telling the children where the insurance policy is, or not discussing, the whose name is on the deed of the house, or, any of those things that they need to know at an early age. And then parents sometimes make the mistake of pitting their children against each other, maybe unknowingly. But if you've got sibling rivalry going on since childhood, and you've allowed it to fester and grow into adulthood, it's going to be very difficult to do the thing that our guest just advised, which is to sit down with your children and have that conversation and actually prepare them so that they understand what's going to happen and what you would like to happen, not just with your assets, but the whole process of who's going to be responsible for handling the business of your transition, and who's going to be responsible for managing the property that you have, and how it's going to be divided. Having that conversation. And, one of our callers brought out the fact that you have distrust, people fighting, people greedy, and it can bring out the dark side sometimes when there's a lot of money involved. It's an interesting, I'm going to tell you a story a little later on about a family that was fighting over the assets. But that's been the conversation. And certainly if you've got listeners on the line that want to chime in or ask questions, we'll welcome their input. And we want people after this show to feel comfortable in having that conversation, because it's necessary. If you don't have it, then you're asking your family to descend into chaos when you transition, and it can create wounds that never heal. I've seen it happen. And so we want people to be prepared.
Be ye ever so prepared. You never know the day or the hour. And so it not only is this planning for that great getting up day in the morning time, meaning when we actually transition, but we need to be prepared. The truth of the matter is, many of us are going to live and need to have some type of help, some type of assistance. Naima and I both have mothers that are aged, and those are those times when who is going to take care of you? How is that provision going to be done? These are things that you need to talk about now.
Absolutely.
You need to talk about these things now. As they say, don't push them under the rug, because somebody's going to trip and fall. So get it all out, bring it, sit it on the middle of the table and look at it. And as I said, I have this guide that is sort of like the icebreaker. It's my life, my wishes. This is something that can be an invaluable tool to help you. It's a guide to help you sit down with your family so that you know what will happen, when it will happen, how it will happen, who's going to do it, and how the funds are going to be there for it. These are things that you need to do now. And I ask you, give me a call, 773-819-1700. And I can get this out to you. And if you need help with that, hey, I'm someone that can help with breaking that ice and getting it all smoothed out. We don't want any trips. We don't want any slips. We want it to be tight and we want it to be right.
Absolutely. And we're going to put that number on the screen for those who are watching, and we're going to repeat it for those who are listening, because you really do need to have that guide. And as you said, we both are at the stage of our lives where we're taking care of an elderly parent. And my father, who transitioned back in 2000, one of the last things he said to me was, take care of mom. And I have two older siblings, but of course, they're living in other states. And, you know, their families, their homes, and everything, they're settled where they're at. It was just kind of understood that because I stayed here in Chicago, I was going to be the one to take care of our mother. But you have to have that discussion.
Yes.
If you've got more than one sibling, if there's more than one child, you need to have that discussion among the siblings early so that you don't end up throwing your parent in a home because nobody made time in their lives or their families. Now, in some cultures, it's already understood, okay, the oldest son, him and his wife, they're going to be the one to take care of our mom and dad. Mm-hmm. We don't have that natural designation. And then what happens if you don't have, you know, a child or you've got several or whatever the case may be? We don't have a natural succession of who takes care of the parents in our family structure. So it ends up being by default, you know, whoever's unmarried or still at the house or, you know, doesn't have any children or whatever the case is, it's not decided on purpose. And sometimes the person that ends up being there may or may not be the best one. Like you say, Pookie that's living in the basement, you know, because, you know, his relationship didn't work and he don't have a job. So he ends up the one taking care of mom, but he's really in the basement getting high all the time. And he's not really taking care of mom, you know, and so he ends up doing it by default because everybody else is going on with their lives. But is that the conscious choice that the family wanted to make? And then, you know, eventually when we realize mom's being neglected, then, you know, the other siblings decide, well, we just have to put her in a home. So at what point, well, we got to take another break. But when we come back, we'll take a look at what point should siblings start having that discussion about who's going to take care of our elderly parent.
Now is the appropriate time. A stitch in time saves 9.
Absolutely.
An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure.
Absolutely.
So now is the appropriate time. No better time than now.
No better time than now. We're going to come back and talk about what are some of the words you need to use, and maybe which one of you needs to call that family meeting to have that right now discussion. Especially you want to do it before someone is ill, before there's a problem. You want to already know once, like you're saying, when you reach adulthood, 18, you need to start having those discussions about who's going to be responsible for our parents when they reach that age where they need help. So we'll be right back after this quick break. So we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. And we've got another caller on the line. And Kareem, please let us know if you've got a caller on your line as well. We want to make sure we make it clear on what you need to do to prepare for your loved one's transition. We'll be right back after this break. Got a caller? All right. Well,
yes, we have one caller on the AM360 board after this break.
Okay, we'll come to your switchboard after the break. So stay with us.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
Is Monday morning a struggle to get out of bed into the swing of things? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on higher learning with Zelda Speaks for your Monday morning mindfulness session on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Mondays, 7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure and send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit ZeldaSpeaks.com and visit your info. We'd love to have you. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness / stress relief coach, Zelda Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moment tip of the day. Stay on purpose, stay empowered, and stay tuned to your next session of mindfulness on higher learning with Zelda Speaks. Make it a mindful day. And thanks for listening. Hi, I'm Naima Latif. Join me and my co-host Kareem Hamid every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Female Solution Radio Show, as we explore that relationship that is the foundation for our society, the relationship between men and women, husbands and wives. Join our discussion as we seek to repair broken family ties and rebuild our community. Listen online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to our host. Or you can join us live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/the-female-solution.
And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. Sorry. Sorry. And as always, we appreciate your participation. call in 515-605-9325 or 515-605-9891. We've got callers on the AM 360 line. So we'll go to that switchboard and then we'll come back and take 312-632 after that. So go right ahead with your caller.
Okay. 706-627. You say your name and where you're calling from.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Brother Muhammad from the Apostle Muhammad by the way of Columbus, Georgia. And I pray a lot of short minutes that I'm going to be here that I won't get interrupted because this is such a beautiful, serious topic. In a family, using the example, they decide for the family, the mother and father is of a Christian. The kids haven't found their way yet. You might, and then you have one who's a Muslim, and then you have two more maybe who are just still haven't found their way yet. And if one of the parents is about to pass them here by Allah's permission, and wants to have this family meeting. You know, you open the family meeting up first, Bob, and let them know that they know what each and every one of their kids are doing that has been revealed to them. And the responsibility of who's going to be the executor of the family, when the father is talking now, he said, when I leave what's in my will, not your mother's will, but my will, what I want to leave to the family and how it be taken care of, I'm basing it according to what I believe is best for my family. And so I want it to be honored that way. Then when everybody looks at their own level of understanding based upon their belief or whatever it might be, they should be able to say, I am able to do this, I am able to do that, because what I believe will restrict me to certain things, I can't take the responsibility of that. But I will be a supporter of it, of whoever is left in charge to some of the major things that you're going to leave to us to manage and carry on as a family legacy. Now, if there's a Muslim in that family, that Muslim family member knows this much, that every human being on this earth, Almighty God Allah has left them the understanding of inheritance, because we inherit the earth. And we have to defend this inheritance against Satan, who's going to use people. He's going to use people to interfere with their responsibility of making sure everyone gets freedom, justice, equality, and fairness in all of their affairs with each other if they come to a consensus on it. So the Muslim child knows, okay, my father wants this, blah, blah. As he go down the list, the Muslim child should be trying his or her best to explain the limitations that might be on them according to the Quran and how they cannot do this, they can't do not this, because we've been told not to try to monitor or direct people's affairs that's in their belief, because we're not going to let them do that to us. Because a lot of them obey those in authority over you, as we all know, even if it's your parents. He said, don't obey them. But keep up the tension, keep up the responsibility to the things that keep you together as a family. So,
May I say something here? You're looking at someone that lived through this. I was in a mixed marriage. I happen to be a Christian, and during like Ramadan and the high holy days of the Islamic faith, I did hold our household. However, when my husband died, many in his family were not a part of, they had not found their way, let me just put it that way. And they did not understand and did not want to do that. So being my husband had a cerebral hemorrhage, and it was just gone at 44. And I was young at the time, and he was like, 14 years my senior. And just for peace, I let his siblings carry out the services, which were done in their belief and not in his belief. And that does happen. He had expressed no wishes. There had been nothing expressed. That's why you need to get this planner. You need to sit down with your family, not only your nuclear family, but your extended family, your brothers and your sisters. And at that time, his father was even living, and parents. Let them know if you're over 18 and you are self-determining, now is the appropriate time.
Yes, that's a good testimony, because a lot of parents, a lot of families, like you said, mixed marriage. I mean,
Yes.
you have people of different faiths, and if you have a family member that feels like, well, my way is the right way, and maybe they converted to this thing, or maybe they're following this thing, but in order, I'm gonna make sure they get to heaven, so I'm gonna do the service. I'm gonna do it the way that I know God wants. You have that.
Yeah.
So if you don't designate, while you're still above ground, what you want to happen, that can really be an ugly situation.
It can
My
be.
husband and I, we discussed that thoroughly, because we've got a family of different faiths,
Mhm.
and you could very easily have someone override what your spouse would have wanted if your spouse never puts it in writing. And maybe you the spouse, they want this, but then they've got siblings who say, well, no, we're going to do it this way because this is what's right. And it could, and so, if you've got two clashing wills,
It's a mel it's a mel of a Hess, and the
yeah.
persons that are impacted, yeah, the mel of a Hess. And the person that that's impacted, i.e., the spouse, that is, you're going through all kinds of things, and so you have to kind of pick your fights.
You
You
do.
gotta
Well,
you
I'm
have to kind of pick
grateful.
your fights,
You do.
and so
Yeah. I
you
mean,
you you cave because there was nothing
nothing right.
that
Nothing
I could
fair.
say, do you see this?
Yes. And
Even though
give us that
they may
number
have
again.
known.
Give us that
They
number that we can get that document. What is the
The number is 773 819 1700. 773 819 1700, so that you can get your planner. This is an icebreaker. Sometimes we need a roadmap when we get ready to go on a trip. And when you're getting ready to not only go on a trip, you're getting ready to trip some people out on what it is that you want for your final wishes. And so this will give you a guide. It's like having an agenda in a meeting. You won't get off all over everywhere, all off the road. This will keep you focused and prayerfully get you to your destination. This is all about you. And
Yes.
that's what you have to remember. It's not about anybody else. This is all about you. You can afford to be selfish at this time. What you want, when you want it, how you want it. Now, in addition, even though I'm saying this is for your final services, you really need to do this before that,
Yes.
because you can have illnesses where you're disabled. Uh, some people get dementia. You need to have this done ASAP. This is not to put off for tomorrow. And you can always change it. That's why they say they put erasers on pencils so that you can
Yes.
erase out what you
Mine.
put down. You can change your mind, but at least have something established. At least have something established. It makes it so much easier. I have been part of my father when he made his transition. He had a long-term illness. It was so easy. He had already stated what he wanted, how he wanted it, where he
Yes.
wanted it. And it made it, even though we were grieving, it was so much easier because we didn't have to guess.
Yes.
We knew.
Right. My father did the same thing before
Yeah.
the last time he went into the hospital. He sat down with me, this whole big book of all of his documents and everything, what he wanted the military flag because he had been a veteran, all of that. So when you do that, I mean, you really are relieving your family of a certain amount of grief because they don't have to squabble over what you
And
want or get what
stress.
you want. It's already
It's
done.
stress.
You remove the stress. And
Yes.
that's the greatest gift you can give to your family. Take away the stress of planning your funeral and carrying out your wishes. Make it known early so that there's no doubt. And let your family know where your documents are, your life insurance policies, your somebody should have access to your bank accounts. I mean, if you've got a bank account and you're not sharing it with anybody, you don't have anybody else's name on it, it can be a real hassle for them to try to get what should be coming to them. My suggestion is to put another person on each of your bank accounts so that somebody can access your money without having to go through a lot of hassle and produce a whole lot of documentation. You got to trust, like one of our callers said earlier, you got to trust
Yeah.
people enough to give them access to your bank account while you're still alive so that in an emergency, anything can happen. You go into a coma, anything, and you need access to your money. And
Okay.
somebody needs to be able to do that.
If there's some takeaways, this is not only for that final getting up day in the morning, fare thee well, but for the living.
Yeah,
Accidents do happen.
they do happen.
And so you need to have two power of attorneys, or you just as one. You have a POA or a power of attorney for your medical
Yeah,
needs.
a medical power of attorney. Yes.
Medical power of attorney, because I want to let you know, when you go up to the hospital and you say, well, I'm the daughter, or I'm the son, or I'm the sister, I'm the brother, short of being a spouse, you have no say.
You know,
So anyone out there that is unmarried and they've got a brother, sister, or a close friend, or whatever, forget it. Without that power of attorney, you are not going to be allowed to make those medical decisions. So you need to get a power of attorney, and it needs to be registered. You know who their doctor is, take it to them so you know, like right now, so they know. Okay, that's a power of attorney. That's number one. Be ye ever so prepared. Number two, you need a power of attorney for your finances, for your assets, and that must be publicly registered. You need to publicly register that. So, and some banks will not necessarily go to the public records, but you're on record. It did happen. This was an express wish, and it's called being open and notorious. You have told the world, this is my desire. Take the power of attorney to any of your banks. Send the power of attorney to any of the stockbroker companies that you have. Send the power of attorney to any of the pension boards that the person might have. This then says, this is my wish. This is who I want to make decisions as it relates to those assets, those things that I have. This is very important. As they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure. And I can't tell you how much easier it makes it for illnesses or for the inevitable, the transition of the person. Power of attorneys. And if you need help with that, I work with an attorney. You can reach us at 773-819 1700. We can get these documents prepared for you and put, as they say, so you can rest easy at night.
Yes, that's
Your
a
bridge,
critical
it's your
thing.
bridge over troubled waters.
Your bridge over troubled waters. Yes, and again, that number's on the screen. Get the planner and get some advice. 773-819-1700. That's 773-819-1700. 1700. You really need to be prepared. You know, something that was said about marriage. I think that's a critical point. I've known a number of people who've had live-in, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the case may be. They might have lived together 10 years or more. And I guess there's sort of like a common law spouse thing. But when it came time for the planning of their transition, the other family did not honor that relationship as having any legal clout. And I've seen a number of things happen. The person having to leave the home where they have been because they weren't the legal spouse, or move out of the apartment, or not get any of the assets that they helped to buy. And I've seen court messes, all kinds of things. No, we bought this together. No, this isn't yours. This belongs to me. All of the siblings stepping in. When I don't care what you might think about marriage, that is a legal document that gives you rights. If you don't have it, you will find you don't have any rights. And you might have stayed with that person 5, 10, 15 years. And everybody knows you're a couple.
And Illinois is not a common law state. Some states are common law states. Illinois is not one of those.
Illinois is not a common law state. So that live-in boyfriend, that live-in girlfriend, that y'all been hanging together forever, and you helped her raise her children, all that's wonderful. But if you don't have papers, you have no rights. And if her family decides, if she transitions and you feel like, well, I've been the daddy, but you have no papers, you can't even decide, especially if, and that's another thing, if you have minor children, you need to have things.
Let me talk about that. Many mothers, out of love, and they don't have a spouse, and they're working, their insurance benefits, they will put their children down as the beneficiaries because they want their children to benefit. A la contraire, if those children are under 18. If those children are under 18 and that mother makes her transition, guess who gets control?
The state.
The father of those children. So all of your insurance, those things that you really wanted to go to your children will, because they're minors, and minors cannot hold assets.
So if you're not with the father, what happens? If
you're not with it doesn't make any difference.
They're still the father.
If the child was left as the beneficiary, then that and the child is a minor, that parent, that other parent, and it works both ways, male to female, female to male, that other parent, because they are then the one responsible now for that minor, they get the benefit of that money.
Wow.
So you need to place a beneficiary that is someone, and then have a trust establishing that person as the guardian for those children should something happen to you.
That's a critical thing.
That is very critical.
Guardian.
Because you don't want
to.
Yeah, you don't want daddy to take the money. And this is how this goes. Because I've sold insurance and this has happened. The mother has made her transition, left her children that were minors on it. Who do you think's going to take care of those children when the mother leaves?
It'll be the
And
father.
the father has not been active in their life.
Oh my! Usually it's the grandmother,
the mama's mama. So the daddy gets the gravy, and the mama of the mama gets the children.
Wow. That's why you got to have your business in order.
That's why you need to
get it in order for sure. We've got another caller here. We're gonna open the mic.
Act smart.
Yes.
Mother,
Act smart.
if it is your mother, put your mother as the beneficiary and have that talk with mama.
Okay.
And I'm the principal of Admiral Nelson Bay Trust.
Okay.
Speaking anecdotally, I'm very wise as relates to, in the state of Illinois, how to marry and how to estate plan. My father, Andrew D. Nelson, U.S. Army troubleshooter, that is, was an accountant, a certified public accountant. I'm named after him. I'm the second born son. You see, you have the heir and you have the spare. I'm the heir. My older brother, John Duncan Nelson, is the spare. The fact is that whoever would marry me, whom I would accede to marriage, is going to be in a very good spot. That's why the range of ages of women who I prospectively could have consorted with range from the age of 15 to about 50, because I understand the law and I understand how the law in the state of Illinois works.
So, you brought up a thing also, and thank you for calling. We appreciate your call. Now, another thing that he brought up in terms of marriage and what happens if someone marries, and I've seen this happen, where someone will they might be of middle age and they've got older children, and then they marry someone who's younger, and maybe an ex-wife is no longer of childbearing age, but then they have a younger wife who has children. And so you literally have two families, and I actually experienced this, because I was the wife that my husband married after his children had basically were already grown. So you have one family with one wife, and then you have another family with another wife, and that's a whole nother set of connections to family. How do people make sure that there are not issues between the new family that's been started and the other family when it comes to division of assets? Because you have an ex, and you have a current, and you have a younger child, perhaps that even might be a minor. So how does and there are many family situations like that.
Put it on.
How do you make sure that there's not a conflict between
you can't assure that there will not be conflict, because there may be emotions there based on why that person now has another young family. There could be some raw feelings there from the ex-spouse and from those previous children who may be now adults or whatever. You can't cut out the feelings, but
Yes.
you can clearly delineate what your wishes are. And if you have the complexities of those kind of relations, it is even more important that you have it written down what you want, how you want, and it must be a part of a record. It doesn't cost that much to take it down to the Cook County Clerk's office and become open and notorious with it. That will then give your current family, your current spouse, it'll say, this is what Yusef said that he wanted to happen, and he put it as a part of the public record. So that cuts it out. The worst thing in the world is that you would die intestate, meaning you have died without any legally expressed wishes or desires, because that is 100% going into probate, and it's like vultures picking at the carcass. I have seen fights where I used to own a title company, and we would have issues with many receivers. They would have escrows that were established to help make repairs at buildings. And I mean, the complexities are just absolutely immense. You can't prevent the emotions. That is individually controlled, but you can have it clearly delineated what is to be done according to the laws that we're governed by. So get that written down. And that's very important. One of the things that you had mentioned earlier, Naima, is when mama and daddy sit down and they tell the children, this is what we want, this is how we're going to do it. And sometimes, and this especially happens more with mothers than with fathers, the mother will take a child to the side and say, I want you to have, when I'm gone, mama wants you to have the house. And she may have even done a quit claim deed, and that's QUIT, quit the claim, not QUICK, because usually we try to quit it quick. So a lot of people say quit claim deed, but at any rate, you want to make sure that that quit claim deed is recorded, because oftentimes, and we call those dresser drawer or bureau deeds, where someone will come to a title company. And as I said, I used to own a title company, and they'll say, I need this now recorded. My mama died and she wanted me to have this. Guess what? It's too late. Only things that are done while that person is living can go into effect. And many times people think with the power of attorney, because it says durable, that it lasts beyond their death. When that person dies, that is the end of their power for that person. So don't get caught up in those. Durable pretty much means it's durable as long as the person wants you as the power of attorney, and you don't have to go through every time there's something transaction, you've got to go back. So, but once they close their eyes, your responsibility as a power of attorney ends there. So get everything recorded, have it as part of the public record. When you sit down and you make that plan your work and work your plan. And that will take some of the grief out of your bereavement.
That makes sense. Well, we're going to take one last break, and we've got another couple of callers on the line. And Kareem, let us know if you've got comments or if you've got some callers on the line. When we come back, you are listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family. And we've got some callers on the On Air Radio Network line. We're going to come to you after the break as well. We're talking to Brent Sharif, who is a certified senior advisor, and we're taking a look at how are you preparing your loved ones for your transition. It is coming, so be prepared. We'll be right back after this last break, so stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back after this message, so stay with us.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms.
Have you ever dreamed of going to exotic places, meeting fascinating people, enjoying uplifting music, and spending nights in a luxurious hotel? Do you look forward to a relaxing vacation where you can walk along the beach or sit in a quiet park and enjoy the sunset or sunrise? Whether you're flying around the world or driving across the country, we will share travel tips that will help you stay safe while you enjoy the journey. Join me every third Saturday of the month, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and move around with Deborah here on the Female Solution Show. Call in and comment 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak.
Oopsie, and one more.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
And we've got one more message for you today. So we want you to listen in. Alrighty. Well, we'll just Got some sound issues on that, so we'll just come on back. And of course, if you are listening online and want to join this conversation, give us a call, 515-605-9325 or 515-605-9891. And also call 727-731-5192. And we are back, and we're ready to take some more calls. And I believe we've got Minister Robert Floyd Plump on the line. Your mic is open. Go right ahead.
Well, Shalom, we don't die, we multiply. It's beautiful as you are a superstar, Naeem Latif. And Assalamu alaikum to family.
Wa alaikum salam. We appreciate you as always. So, Minister Plump, I know you've got grown children and everything. Have you had that conversation with them about your wishes for your transition? And if so, how did that conversation go?
Well, thank you, Naima. I appreciate you. I'm a black historical.
Yes.
So that's a serious thing. However, I do have heirlooms. I have covenant heirlooms. I have inside and outside children.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an excellent conversation. Especially for me to consider all things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the eyes of God, and everything must be, in a God respect as well as family, and also in the community, because I have heirlooms in all dimensions. You see, in my position as I would say a community activist and president of nonprofit and for-profit organizations. So, it's like anointed, appointed, and chosen leadership in all different even capacities or positions. And it's a tough decision, but I'm glad that you all having this discussion, especially in Happy Black History Month.
Yes, Happy Black History Month.
Happy Savior's Day.
Happy Savior's Day.
I'm on my way to Savior's Day. I'm not sure if it's already paid round trip. And anybody that really might be interested in the last tickets that they have and round trip, then they can reach me at 312-882-5935, and then I can and put them in touch with Sister Julia Muhammad. Okay.
Yes, and you like you say,
as they say, trouble don't last always.
It don't last always. And like you say, you're a historian, and you have probably a lot of artifacts, a lot of valuable things that you would want your family members to take care of. Do you have? I know you've got your Plump Foundation. Do you have it designated how that's to be handled when you're gone?
Yes. You're right. It's very important. Plump Foundation. We have the Harold Washington Foundation, as well as we have the People's Marching Corporation. So we got and Honey Jam Music Incorporation. I even owns my brother Stanley Rich Martin's estate. So it's a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it all. I'm so glad y'all having this. It's all important. You see what I mean? The most important thing I got from the day's message and lesson is to write it down.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then have witnesses, okay, to the facts. Unfortunately, a lot of things, and most things, even when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad departed, he didn't have it all written down in place. He had some of the things, You see what I mean? Even Mayor Washington did not have what they call a will. So it's important to have a will. It's important to have, estate planning. And all of this was very well, I would say, brought out today, with making me think even more. And the most important way to think is PMA, positive mental attitude.
Absolutely.
And then know who's who and what is what and what you really want to do.
Absolutely.
And if you write it down, no one can dispute that. So you all, I thank God for the female solution.
Well, thank you, Minister Plump. We appreciate you so much. We're going to see if we can get a couple of more calls before we go, but thank you so much, Minister Plump, because you brought out a point. And, something that he said that I want to address also. You have people who have businesses, who have organizations, who have, other people that they're responsible for. How complicated does it get if you transition and you say have a company or have, an organization? Maybe you've got employees or people that are on your staff. They're responsible for certain things. How important is it for those kinds of people to make sure, say, their job doesn't end because somebody who's head of a company or head of an organization that employs them transitions? Is there a way to put in place safeguards so that all the people that you're responsible for are protected?
Yes. And that goes into what succession planning in both personal and in business. The issue that Minister Plump just brought up is very, very critical. Many of you that are from the Chicagoland area can remember the building at 7801 South Cottage. It was a wonderful office building. And unfortunately, when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad made his transition, there was a question that whether or not it was owned by the minister direct, or if it was owned by the nation.
Yeah.
And an attorney, Rufus Cook, kept it up and or had it in a tax-free situation because he said it belonged to the nation. But then it was said no, it was not. And so, you know that it was vacant. It went into disrepair. And even though there was a group that wanted to buy it, I was a part of that group that wanted to buy it. There was infighting among the people in the community, with the nation, with A.R. Leak Funeral Home, and the unit that I represented, and the alderman, in her parting shot as she left office, had it torn down. That was a travesty. That was a building that was unlike any other building on the South Side. It had underground parking. It was a state-of-the-art building when it was made, and it had a unique construction where they call it the facades could come off. We could have changed the look of the building, the way the genius of the architect that did that. And people don't know this, 2 of Muhammad Ali's cars were in the basement parking lot of that building. And the company that raised the building said, why did they tear this building down? It was in wonderful structural shape. It was a steel beam building that could have, if the zoning would have allowed, could have gone up 7 stories, but they had to stop where it was because the zoning would not allow it to be over 4 stories. And so the guy that tore down the building got those 2 cars that at once belonged to the champ. He said that was worth, they didn't have to pay him, just give him the cars.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
those those are the things that happen when you have not planned your work
Right.
and had someone to work your plan.
Absolutely.
That's just one of
That's
many
definitely, that's a historic
succession.
that's a historic example of what
Yes.
happens when things are not put in writing, and
Yes.
you have a lot of people that are connected to an organization. So let me see. We've got several callers here. We're going to take you in this order: 706-202, and then 813-646, and then another caller on the on-air network going to come to you after that. So make sure you remember that other people are waiting to speak. And 706-202, I believe that's Baba Kwame, I believe. Grand Rising.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Naima. And yes, I am honored that somebody is finally putting our lives in order.
Yes.
Because in order to continue, you have to know how. And my mother just transitioned. And the thing that we did was we had all the things in order, not to resuscitate, because that's why we took her off life support. So the insurance policies that were made out to each individual child, the cremation policy that she had so she could be cremated in that part. And she did not want a service, and she did not want, to write an obituary. But there's a thing that I have a friend that I met in Texas. She runs a business. This is what she does, is write obituaries. And she said is because we need to start writing our obituaries, because who better tells your life story than you? And you're having that constantly updated when you do certain achievements in your life in order to have that. But the other part is that when you're filling out a death certificate, and luckily I was there with my sister and my brother, is because they're going to ask you what was the maiden name of the person, the deceased's parent. And a lot of people don't know what the maiden name was of their grandparent.
Isn't that something?
And the other part is we have to begin to put in order our family tree.
Yes.
And on the death certificate, they're going to ask you, what is your nationality? My mother had descended from Shawnee Indians. Our great-great-grandmother and the other grandmothers were Native. So the director wanted to put African American. I said, no, she's not an African American. Her lineage is from the Native American.
Yes.
Because these are archives that we will go in to identify ourselves. We got to know where we come from to know where we're going.
Absolutely.
I am so
informing people as to getting things in order.
Yes.
I am so glad that you have made that statement, and my condolences to you, sir, in the passing of your mom. But it sounds like you guys did it right.
Right.
One of the things that you did mention, and I think that this is extremely critical, many times, as I said, I owned a title company. Many people are living in homes right now, today, that are not in their names. It's in the name of someone that has passed on. And people that pass on, they can no longer own property. That seems as if, people should know that. But they have not done what needs to be done, which is, excuse me, which is to get that property changed into their name. And there's a thing called an affidavit of heirship. So if any of you are out there right now that have not had the property changed from a deceased person's name, then you need to call and I can show you how. And one of the things that the young man stated is that in our culture, more than other cultures, we have a who was this person related to. We generally have all the heirs, the immediate heirs, listed in our obituaries.
Yes.
That is a wonderful thing. because it then establishes who is in that lineage. And when you do an affidavit of heirship, and there's one person that wants to step up to become the owner, at least we know who the other heirs are that must be contacted to see if they will give their consent to let that one person that perhaps is in possession because they're living in that home or they're managing those properties. So if you haven't done it, please do it. Because if you need critical repairs, a roof done, you need, and it's going to take financing, you will not be able to get it. That's why we have so many derelict and decaying properties in our community, because people are in possession, but they're not on title. So you need to get a title so that you can get those repairs financed. Okay.
We only got a couple of minutes left, but we got a couple of more calls. But those are critical. Well, let me see if I can get. We got a couple of calls I want to try to squeeze in, and we'll try to get back to that next question before we go. 312-383. Open your mic. You're on. Go right ahead. Give us your name, where you're calling from, and your question for our guest. 312-383. Unmute. 312-383. Okay.
No question. Just been great.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much. All right. And 813-646. Got about 30 seconds for your question. Go right ahead.
Yeah, just real quick. My mother passed like 4 years ago with no written instructions and had like a 7-figure estate left on a couple property. So what I did, me and a cousin, because it's in a distant city from where I'm at, basically I started a school.
Oh.
That family members educate them on the law, how to make repairs. And we have like little brief meetings, just me and my cousin, every day of the year for the last 4 years, going on 5 years. So I figured the best way to pass it on from generation to generation, set up a school within the family to educate people, and then
90
cash reserves, repairs, all that's taken care of. So that's how I land my plane there.
All right. Well, thanks so much. And that was L.A. Davis from Florida. And before we go, Baba Kwame, you had one last question?
Yeah, that was in LA kind of asking that because we have some property, some land down there that our grandfather owned. And the part of it is we're trying to see, because we've been contacted and saying that this is the family tree. And they're trying to buy the property from it. And we're trying to see what to do as far as dealing with the property. And LA just gave a great idea.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, LA. We appreciate that. And we appreciate all of you. I want to say thank you to our guest, Bryn Sharif, who is a certified senior advisor. And we want to make sure that we give you all an opportunity to get your affairs in order. And we bring in, and thank you so much to our co-host, Kareem Hamid, and dear sister Martha Nyla for hooking us up so we can make sure we get our American Muslim 360 family. Thank you so very much. And thank all of you for joining us today. And come on back tomorrow, of course. We'll be right here on the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. Get your planner, 773-819-1700.
And be sure to get your copy of the book, The Female Solution.
Goodbye.
On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's
Join us tomorrow
discussion.
for Shop
And
with
to our
Zoe,
global family
right here on the
listening
Female
from all
Solution
around the
Global
world,
Radio TV show.
we say thank you. To our family in China, Shunte, India, Zanzibar, Japan, Mexico, Korea, Kamsahamnida, Russia, Spasiba, Germany, Danke, Poland, Dziękuję, Merci, Spain, Gracias,
Shukra, Ghana, Medasi, Nigeria, Eshe, South Africa, Gabon, Senegal, Yele, Kenya, Asante, Israel, Sudan, Pakistan, Shukriya, Afghanistan, Tashakkur, Saudi Arabia, Shukran. Salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. And may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God.
And we'll see you tomorrow on the Female Solution.